Welcome to how to use GNS3. This is going to be a GNS3 tutorial. In this video, we're going to go through the menus, the graphical layout of GNS3. We're going to create our first topology. I'm going to demonstrate the functions on the toolbar. So I'm going to show you how to change the symbols of the devices, as well as change the GNS3 styles. And with that, we're just going to get right into it. We're now going to begin looking at the graphical layout of GNS3. The big section of the program I have highlighted in red and labeled is the GNS3 Workspace. It's the section that we're going to drag and drop all the devices onto and build our topologies in. The section that I have circled in red here is called the GNS3 Toolbar. And to go through the toolbar, I'm just going to bring in the GNS3 client itself. This leftmost item on the toolbar, as you can see that I hover over it, a little description pops up. That's going to create a new blank project. That's going to open an existing project that you already have saved. Then this clock image here is going to be manage snapshots. And so the snapshotting feature works a lot like the VMware snapshot feature, which basically just saves your topology as it is. The only thing to note there is that you would have to individually save the configurations on your routers and switches. The snapshot function isn't going to do that. Next to that, we have this ABC. This shows or hides the interface labels on the topology. And then next to that, this is going to turn on the console connection for all the devices in the topology that are powered on. Then the red triangle is going to start or resume all nodes. This yellow pause symbol is going to suspend all nodes. And then the red square is going to stop all nodes. Circle icon right here is going to reload all nodes. This square with the pencil is going to allow you to basically add a text box if you want to label something or add text to the diagram. Then this square with a smaller circle and triangle allows you to insert a picture. This is a rectangle tool that allows you to draw rectangles. The one next to that allows you to draw an ellipse. And then that's the line tool right there. And then the padlock one allows you to lock or unlock all items. If you don't want anything to be changed, you can lock it. And then the magnifying glass plus and minus here, this is zoom in and out. And then the camera option allows you to take a screenshot. All right, and then on the left-hand side that I have circled here, this is going to be the devices toolbar. So if we click on this, it's going to pop open another window that I have right here and show us all the routers that are available. This one is for switches. This is one for end devices. Like you can have a virtual PC, Linux servers, and then the clouds. This one's going to have security devices like firewalls. This one's going to show you everything. If you click right here, it's going to show you all the different types of devices. And then this last one is what allows us to build links between the devices. Then next in the upper right, you have the topology summary. It's going to have all the devices that are currently in the topology up there, and it's going to show you whether or not they're powered on. And then beneath that, you have the server summary, which currently has both the desktop and the GNS3 VM with the green dots, which means they're functioning as you want them to. And then lastly, at the bottom, we have the GNS3 console, which displays the error messages. Before we get started building, I just wanted to demo grid a little bit. So right now, you can go to View, and you can see that I have Show Grid selected and Snap to Grid. This is what allows you to make sure that all your devices are lined up and evenly spaced. And just to show you, I'm going to drag and drop a 7200 onto the topology. And because Snap to Grid is selected, you can see that as I'm dragging it along, it takes it to where the lines are intersecting. And if you want to make your topologies look pretty, this is what I do. And then if you don't like the way that the grid looks, after you're done putting them where you want to, you can go unselect Show Grid, and then it gets rid of the grid. So basically, you can use it to set it up and then turn it off. And then the only other thing that I wanted to stress is that you want to make sure that when you import the devices into GNS3, that when you do it, you're selecting for those devices to come up on the GNS3 VM. And the reason is that when I was importing them into my program, I accidentally had one of them come up on the local server. And I noticed that it was taking about 10 minutes to boot up, and then I figured out what I had done and I changed it. And then that same device comes up in about 30 seconds now. And then to just demo what I'm talking about real quick, I'm gonna go to Edit and then click on Preferences. I'm gonna come down to Dynamips routers, and you can see that we have one 7200 here, but if I click New, the very first thing that it asks, and by default for the Dynamips images, it's going to run it on my local computer. What you want to do is select run this iOS router on the GNS3 VM. And then you can go through the rest of the install process. And then likewise, if you're importing the viral qemu images, add a new template, install from GNS3 server, We'll select that one, go to install, and then this one automatically selects install the appliance on the GNS3 VM, which is what you want. So I'm just gonna hit cancel because I just wanted to show you where that option is. So now we're gonna get to making our first Cisco topology. So if you haven't already, make sure you go File, New Blank Project, give it a name. The first thing I'm gonna do is name it GNS3 Tutorial. And then the next step is going over to the upper left here and clicking on the router symbol to bring up the router group. And we're going to drag and drop a C7200 on here. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is create our first topology. The first thing I'm going to do is drag out an Ethernet switch. And when given the choice, I'm always going to put it on the GNS3 VM. And then I'm going to pull out our C7200 dynamips image. And one of our viral images. And now I'm going to show you how to change the symbol, because I don't like that symbol that it comes with by default. And I'm going to select classic. And you have a lot of different options in terms of symbols. You can import custom ones if you want to. And I'm just going to select the classic router. I'm going to hit apply and then OK. Now in order to rename a router, so it doesn't have that standard name, just double click on it. And I'm just going to go R2. And I want to add one more of these. So since I've already changed the name and the symbol, I can just go down to duplicate, and it's going to already name it R3, just like that. All right, the next I'm going to start making some links. All right, then the next thing that we're going to do is power on all the devices and open up consoles. And then the dynamips image always asks us to enter the initial dialog, and I'm going to hit no. All right, then if you look at the right-hand side of the screen, I have configuration that we're just going to cut and paste into each of the devices. And so what I do is I define the host name. I add an IP address to one of the physical interfaces. We create a loopback 1 interface, give that an IP address, and then we define the OSPF process, the router ID, and then the network statement. And this network statement will turn on the OSPF process on every interface that has an IP address and put it in area 0. All right, so we're just going to do some ping tests real quick. R1 can ping R2, as well as the directly connected interfaces, as well as R3. And now we can see that the OSPF neighbor is coming up as well. Show IP route. All right, and we can see the loopback addresses from the other routers being learned. This O right here, which means that it was learned from OSPF. And you can look at the guide up here that says that it was learned from OSPF. All right, next I'm going to show you how to change the styles. So I'm going to go to Edit, then go to Preferences. See right here, it says Interface Style, and I already have charcoal selected. So Classic, everything turns white. I just like the charcoal look, so I'm going to leave it like that. Next, I'm just going to show you how to use the rectangle tool. So you click on this, and if I want to put a rectangle around this router to represent site 1, I would click on it, center it. Now you notice how it's hiding the router. I'm going to right click on it and then click lower 1 layer. Then I'll do the same thing down here. And I'm going to center that one, and I'm going to do it one more time. And I'm going to center that one as well. Lower one layer on that one, and lower one layer there. Next, I'm going to right click on Style, and I'm going to change the fill color to this. I'm going to apply that, and click OK. I'm going to right click, select Style, and we'll go with a light blue for down here. Apply, and same thing again, right click, Style, and we'll go with a light green over here. And then you can use this tool to add a note. You want it to label this as Site A. Select it again, Site B. And then select it again for Site C. Also, just to clarify one thing, if you notice when I was moving those rectangles around that a couple of them moved together, the reason for that is that I had both of them selected. So you just need to make sure that you only have the ones selected that you want to be moving. All right, that brings us to the end of this GNS3 tutorial. If you found this helpful, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.